Good morning and many thanks for tuning in, for watching and for listening. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. Today being the 13th day of April 2026. Amani vipi?
Kabisa. We are almost 2 weeks into the new month. And we are hoping that everyone is feeling safe.
We are also a day to the new fuel prices.
All right, yeah, exactly.
Which will be announced tomorrow, eh?
It's been one of the biggest conversations. And you remember that they keep saying that Kenya is a land of scandals. The scandal is still alive. Yes. But here we are, new prices, yeah.
Here we are. If you're asking, that is Kevin Osido, who will be as well taking charge here as we go all the way to 10 p.m. as we continue to have conversations on matters that are important to the discourse of the country. Again, Dennis Aseto, Kevin Osido, and let me just take you through some of the conversations that we'll be having today. And at 7 a.m., we'll be having several discussions this morning. And part of those conversations are what we've seen happen last week in the political class, And I want to ask the question, when will we just learn? As a country, when will we just choose to say enough is enough? But that notwithstanding, right? So at 7 a.m. we'll be having a conversation around political landscape review, then versus now. Go as far as you want to go. Yeah. Compare then and now. And where we are as a country, how have we learned, But I want to look at it from, say, 2002. Because then one would say we saw the political shift, when former President Daniel Moi was leaving office, Uhuru Kenyatta was running, and then you come to 2007, 2008, again, another big moment for the country, 2007, 2008 post-election violence. Then 3 years later, we have the 2010 constitution that came in with different laws, different requirements, different ways of doing things, independent bodies talk about IG, ODPP, all these offices have been put in place. IEBC, new face of IEBC. Yeah. Have we learned anything?
47 county governments.
47 county governments, right? Have we learned anything? To have that conversation will be Kabando, who is a politician and former Mukuru Ini MP. Political landscape review then versus now. And at 8 a.m. we'll be having Dr. Barack Muluka, who's the Secretary General, Democratic National Alliance Party. And we shall be having a discussion around the state of politics in the country, chaos and truth slinging. What we saw over the weekend, man, that was just sad. That was just sad.
And Dennis, if we do nothing about it now, even the campaign period has not yet been declared officially.
Yeah.
Where are we headed to? What are we really setting up Kenyans up to?
And I think also it's a question around the laws of the country and whether it's just a suggestion. Because as we speak right now, not the president, not the united opposition, not the political class should be campaigning. One asks the question, when the law says you only have, you can only get into campaigning within a certain period, what does that really mean? Not only to Kenyans, but the political class. Because remember, today, if you want to get to the streets to picket, to demonstrate, which is a right enshrined in the Constitution, it's very difficult. But we have a bunch of individuals in this country who would wake up, go for political rallies against the law. ODPP, silent. IEBC, silent. EACC, silent. We ask the question.
NCIC, we saw a list of new commissioners. Despite lessons that have been either learned or unlearned from the past commission. What is the difference that the new commissioners will really bring?
Silence. Anyway, that will be the conversation that we'll be having at 8 a.m. But at 9 a.m., it is an opportunity to have a conversation with you who is listening, you who is watching, you who is a stakeholder in all this. That will be, Dear Mr. President, State of Kenyan Politics, where you will have an opportunity to talk to us and we have this conversation. What are your views? What do you need change? And what must change moving forward? Those are the conversations that we'll be having with you. But before we get to saying hi to everybody, Evelyn, I salute you. Good morning. How are you? Weekend uko fiti? Voke uko fiti? Nice. We also have Penina. Hello. Salamia yeye. Habari yako. Happy to see you. Right. We also have Derek. Good to see you. We have JB on the other side. We have Mutano on the other side. There is also Teddy, who is in. Everybody part of the cog that is making this conversation be a reality right here in the studios. And remember, we we're also streaming live on all our social media pages. That is Twitter. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. Twitter, okay, for millennials, but X for Gen Zs. I'm just saying, everywhere we are there to ensure that we are able to communicate and be part and parcel of these conversation. Let's get to saying hi to everybody this morning. I'm seeing technology here on my side is doing that thing, but that notwithstanding, let's see if we can get this from the other side. So, Osido,
yes,
please. For a very long time, people have been having conversations on where we are as a country, and that's a conversation that we must have as a people, as citizens of the country.
Yes.
Because if we lag behind, if we choose to not play by the rules, all of us, whether it's the political class, whether it is the citizens being allowed to be used as goons, we all are part and parcel of the problem. Just trying to connect to YouTube. For some weird reason, it's not connecting. I don't know what's the problem here. Evelyn, iko shida across board. But I think, Evelyn, let's take a short commercial break. Then when we come back, we say hi to everybody. And then, but before that, then, I think we look at the Gazette because things are just not moving this morning for some weird reason.
You raised a very important question around things are moving, but really, where is the space of the citizen?
Yeah.
Because we more or less tend to just agonize. Oh, this is not working. Oh, so-and-so did this. Oh, these politicians. Oh, these people.
Yeah.
But many times I keep asking myself, and I was telling a group of young people in church where I fellowship yesterday, what are you doing about it?
What are you doing about it?
How are you organizing? Are we just, agonizing and not organizing? How are we taking advantage even of the opportunity to register as voters? How are we organizing even around the opportunity to run for political office? So that as things happen, you also become a critical player, Dennis.
Yeah.
You stop just being a complainant,
You stop being a spectator, pretty much,
Exactly, yeah.
You stop being a spectator and be part and parcel of the change that you want to see.
Put your hands on deck and do something. It doesn't have to be at the national level. Your village somewhere, your ward down there, your sub-county, your constituency. In that committee that is being set up, in that kind of a small team that is being put up to be able to do something, you have a complete attachment. You must identify something that you can be able to do towards making this country a better place.
Yes, I agree. I think let's say good morning to our people this morning, and we start from Joseph Okondo. Good morning, SpiceFM, tuned in from Chuda in Mombasa. Habari ya Mombasa, mko salama? Happy to have you here. Robert Mbog, good morning from Mombasa. Good morning. Leo, hello, Aseto. How long will it take Kenya Kwanza administration and its minions to start singing Mungiki is back after the violence in Githunguri? They want to steal the cultural center and build avoidable housing. It is sad.
Oh, that's very
It is sad. It is sad. Whatever we saw over the weekend of the attacks, man, you can't tell me. I asked the question, where were the police?
And this passing on the buck, the buck by the CS, honestly, it has to stop.
It has to stop.
Yes, you've told us you will arrest people. Arrest people. Let
them.
Kenyans see arrests, big names, being rolled into the bars and, people making critical responses to the questions that Kenyans are asking.
Me, I'm like, don't even talk to me about arresting. Arrest them.
Arrest them. Yeah. Take action.
Yeah. What are you telling me?
That is what Kenyans have given you the power, that you have to do.
Boaz Nalianya, good morning from Kitale. My love for the Situation Room as well as my hate for Arsenal is 100% successful. Blessed week. Let me tell you. I am an Arsenal fan. This weekend has not been easy. It has not been easy.
Yeah, that's what relationships do. Sometimes you're so much high up there, you feel it is working, you want to, feed it and make it work. And then suddenly I work.
Yeah, that it has not been an easy weekend for us Arsenal fans, but anyway, we are here. Bwange Juma, good morning, Spice FM. How are you all this morning? Have a blessed Monday to you as well. Tibbs Mugia, good morning, Spice team. Good morning to you. Jackson Waweru. Morning. These goons are just warming up. God help us during the campaign season. I agree. God help us. But then again, let us help ourselves during that season. Christina, good morning. Invite CS Education of any education officer to tell us how all students can be punished because of one person asking the entire school to bring 5,000 shillings the offense because one student escaped. I agree.
Yeah, that's a clear ask.
That's a clear ask. That's a clear ask. I agree with you, Christina. Leo, this speech is nauseating. We will not let politicians who hire goons for sympathy votes to go unpunished. But with violence being an order of the day to settle political scores, no one gets held accountable. And that's the question we are asking this morning. What will it take for us to see heads roll, for individuals to get to the court system, justice system, and end up in jail? Because unless you see that, nothing really.
And Seto, we actually were in Haiti a few months ago, years ago, to try and deal with the goons there and the gangs. What lessons did we learn, and how can we exert those lessons in our context now? Kenya stands tall globally in many different fronts, and we want to see the kind of good profile that Kenya has really being now used to quell goonism that we are talking about.
I agree. Now, morning joint from Marsabit, that is Abdub Mamu and Mashari and Jerry. Good morning, Spice team watching from Portland, Oregon. Karibu Sana. Eric Kowar, good morning, guys. Good morning to you, Eric. Roger Nyange, good morning from Birkani Voi. Kiaria Pita, good morning from Mombasa. Always pray to have eyes that see the best in people, a heart that forgives the worst, a mind that forgets the bad, and a soul that never loses faith in God. And to that we say, Amen. And Mtuflani wishing Spices a happy new week from Gunistan. When you elect an actual crime syndicate, don't be surprised when your country turns into Gotham City. I agree.
Sure.
Akisa Daniel, good morning. Spice watching live from Achiak in Uganda. And Faith Muisio. Hello, Spice team. Tuned in from Virginia. It's 11 p.m. Sunday here. Always great to keep tabs of current affairs. Asante Sana, Faith. It's 11 p.m. Time for you to rest, but that you've chosen to be here right now. All you can say is Asante Sana. And Dolly Lux, good morning, Team Spice. Jackson Oweru, Senator Matthew, the Baba Phobia. Tell Mr. President, Hatuogopi. Henry accepted. Good morning, Spice family. I'm tuned, watching live. Twende Kazi Kabisa, Twende Kazi. And Dr. Venve, good morning, tuning from Chuda in Mombasa as well. Erika Warundu is not yet back, and Ndu is not yet back, but siku kadhaa she will be back. And Simon Kibiru, good morning, team. Beginning of the week and ready for the great conversation. Be here. We are ready for these conversations this morning. Wanda, good morning from Toronto. Hi, Aseto and Mr. Osido. Let's start the week with gratitude. What is one thing you are grateful for today? I'm grateful for being alive.
Oh yeah, precisely. Without life, really.
Yeah, I'm great. I think that's where I start from. I'm grateful for being alive, and I'm grateful that everyone that I know is in good health. And to that we say amen, because it's not a guarantee that you get to see the next second, the next minute, So I'm grateful for life.
Amen. I am as well grateful for life.
Yes. Yeah. So let's go to good morning and happy week ahead. It's sad that goons are everywhere while we have NIS and police, that is Nyakundi Emmanuel. And where's the Queen? This is Inyika is asking. The Queen is at the father's land in Nigeria, but she will be back very soon. And Jennifer Itenyi, good morning, Aseto and Osido, House of Spice family. Aseto, that color of your top is tops. Stops, Koju kama senali juu ya table. Asante sana. Yani, our politicians have carried your youth malenge sana. Yes, Jennifer, asante for your compliments. And it's sad that we see the youth as well allowing themselves to be used the way we've seen over the weekend. And this is Inika, good morning, tuned from Kakidimu. Ndu is not back. We miss the Queen. The Queen will be back. But in the meantime, before we take that break, Rogers says Sabah Khairi, Team Spice, Esli Mbide Spice, keep on spicing up, life is sour. We'll keep on lifting life. But before we take that break, I just want us to go to Djibouti. Djibouti is where we get our proverb today. And just a few facts about Djibouti now. Djibouti is a small strategically located country now in the Horn of Africa, bordered by Eritrea, Ethiopia, Somalia, and the Red Sea. Now, it's known for the world's hottest places. It features Lake Assal, Africa's lowest point. So if you want Africa's lowest point, you go to Djibouti. And its economy relies on a bustling port and logistics sector, heavily serving the landlocked country of Ethiopia. But let's go to the proverb. A person who has not traveled has no eyes. How would you interpret it?
Reminds me of the Swahili one. Kutembea uone mengi.
Kutembea ndio kuona mengi.
Kutembea ndio kuona mengi. So it means if you do not have eyes, as long as you travel as much as you do, you will not see anything. But what it basically means, in my view, is that from the kind of journeys that we have, we are able to go through life experiences that teach us something.
Yeah.
If you go through difficult moments, you learn lessons like resilience, you learn lessons like sacrifice, you learn lessons like, commitment to a cause. And so depending on what journeys you are traveling, there are lessons that you are learning. And that's where I think is about kutembea kuona mengi,
Yeah, I think I look at it in terms of experience. The more you travel, the more you get to experience different cultures. If you're a chef, the more you travel, different cuisines, how they prepare their food, and you add that into your palate as well. So if it's about experience, the more you walk out there, if you want to go to Singapore, go to Singapore, see how they do things. If you go to London as well, you'll see how Londoners, if that's a word, are doing their thing. Compare that with Singapore. Go to Rwanda, maybe you learn how they manage to have their city clean. I'm just speaking to duty bearers here, So and we know they've been to these places. They know exactly what we need to do. So you understand life better when you explore beyond your comfort zone.
And experience comes with exposure. Exactly. Again, so as you travel, you also get exposed to different cultures, different things. And as you talk about Singapore and London, it is even locally.
Yeah.
If you've never been to Lamu, take a step and just walk over to Lamu.
Exactly.
And if you've never been to Siaya, come to Missouri Beach, where I come from.
Yeah.
Go to Turkana, so that when they talk about Kenyans for Kenyans, you really have a direct feeling of what that means.
If you want to experience dunes in the country, go to Mambrui. Just here. You someone would actually think that you're in Dubai, but you're in Kenya. Mambrui is giving you all these. So it's about get outside that comfort zone, learn more. And out of that, you'll be able to see the world in a different view. Evelyn, you agree? Nimepata kidole? Evelyn amesema yuko sawa. Just gotta start there. You just gotta start there. Things are boiling nicely.
It's bold and it's getting bolder.
Bold.
Yeah.
Now here, making of a scandal. It is about family affair. A trove of payroll records, WhatsApp exchanges, and bank documents suggest a teacher's welfare scheme financed by members' monthly deductions has been captured by a network of relatives and associates. At the center of the allegations is a leadership accused of betraying trust and presiding over possible abuse of funds and office. What are we talking about? Hefty deductions, and 95,000 is the number of teachers who have been contributing 200 shillings each monthly, and 95,000 teachers, if you just do your math, that is 19 million shillings per month. So in 12 months, we're talking about 228 million that has entered into the accounts of these institutions, which is KEWOTA. It was sad to watch that, but it was a job well done by one Lennox Sengre. Lennox, that one, hats off, man. But this exposes the rot that we see across board. If it's in education sector, it is sad that teachers are not paid. Are not paid well, one would say that. You look at the government capitation not getting to schools on time. And even when teachers decide to save up on something to help them in the future, you again find individuals who are taking advantage of that and still stealing from the very same teachers.
Very unfortunate, and especially when it comes to a welfare scheme, a space where as a civil servant or any individual, you get into a circle or whatever scheme, a welfare plan, to be able to undertake certain safeguards, to be sure about things that, concern you, whether it's about health, whether it's about the future, And then suddenly, nothing just works. It turns out to be a scandal.
It is sad.
Sometimes, because I also belong to a welfare scheme, and I am an official, a secretary of one such, the kind of, accountability that we go through sometimes as officials, leaves me wondering why a very big, strong institution like this, the Kenya Women Teachers Association, KEWOTA, really cannot be able to undertake clear accountability modalities. And as you rightfully read from the, from the front, you're talking about allegations, and at the center of this is a leadership accused of betraying trust. So people trust you with as little or as much as 200 shillings. And they expect that every month when we contribute this, when we ask for it, either in terms of a loan or in terms of, healthcare mechanism.
Or investment.
Or an investment, we will be able to get answers, Dennis. And then suddenly it turns out to be a scandal.
Very sad.
Arrest.
And you go to page 2 as well. Here we talk about what we eat and seed sovereignty and GMO safety. Debate continue to divide Africa. The GMO controversy divides Africa, with supporters citing improved yields and climate resilience. Opponents raise concerns over safety and sovereignty, ecological damage, and growing corporate influence in agriculture. So we have Professor Richard Oduor, who is a senior biotechnology researcher, says genetically modified crops can reduce reliance on pesticides and help farmers cope with climate-related challenges such as drought and pest outbreaks. But if you look at that image as well, I think those would be activist protest against GMO foods, demanding stronger regulation and protection of food sovereignty. What they're saying is, let us decide what we eat and grow. I choose GM-free and no new GMOs. In the country, there's that conversation that is ongoing well, where scientists are saying it is good. The government of Kenya has given a nod for that. But there are those who are saying no. We were never intended to consume GMOs in the first place, in terms of how the world has been created, how these foods were created. We were never really supposed to consume GMOs. So it is who is pushing what and why.
And really speaks about the place of research, in my view. And Kenya has very strong, agricultural research institutions. What is their say about this, and what is the safe space? What are the safeguards around food, and particularly things that people consume into their bodies? Against the rising cases of, conversations on rising cases of cancer, and how families are going through, lots of challenges to be able to take care of their kin. So it's a space for us to, as a country, really, again, exercise leadership and ensure that our research institutions are doing the right thing. And even the space of awareness creation, engage farmers, engage citizens. Let's have as many conversations as is possible.
I agree with you. And the Kakamega Governor Fernandez Barras has condemned goon politics, urges tolerance after burial chaos. That was a sad again to see in a burial, individuals coming in to just scatter everything in the name of politics. Mheshimiwa wetu amekuja.
That was insanity.
It is
extremely sad. You have a funeral, and then people that you expect to come and help you mourn your loved one are the same people that are messing it up.
Tell you what, I remember when my brother Ben, may he rest in peace, passed on. In that burial ceremony, categorically said no to politics. If you're here to mourn with us, come sit and be part of the people who are mourning. But you're here because of politics, I'm sorry. Go hire a ground in Migori and do your thing there. But here, no. Here we don't condone politics. And it went well. At some point, as a people as well, knowing very well what politics is doing in these gatherings, we need to start saying no to politics,
And the church really will help us.
Whatever
denomination that is presiding over that burial. You really have to be strong to stop the politicians from taking the podium and speaking whatever they have to. As you say, they can organize their own rallies. Go and mourn there.
Go and mourn there.
Hold their memorial there, and do whatever they want to do. But what we see happening especially in burials, honestly, Dennis, it's sad.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
it's very sad. And in page 3 of the Standard, inside Joe Nyaga's burial wishes at center of 220 million succession battle. Now, family tension over Joe Nyaga's estate has spilled into court with his 2013 letter of wishes now scrutinized, competing claims of marriage, dependency and business ownership continue to fuel the succession dispute. This is what I say. When the man was alive, every other person connected to him and to these to ownership of his property was happy. Please, if the man has died and had his own wishes, respect that, respect his memory, honor them, and stop all these fighting all over the place. It is sad that we keep seeing this, and at the center of it is resources. It is wealth that this man worked so hard to build, but then again, after he leaves, it becomes a bond of contention. It is just sad, if you ask me. Yes, okay, KEWOTA. How a teacher's welfare scheme became a family's payroll empire. I think this is a story that we'll come back to a little bit later. And Ruto, I can invite whoever I want to State House. So the president said he will not be pressured to stop his invitations to various individuals. He condemned attempts to isolate certain people, and especially the Akorino. Yesterday, the president hosted the Akorino sect to State House for word of prayer. It created a little bit of political tension, and they were called out. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua had an issue with that as well, saying that those who went there to represent their stomachs and not to represent the people from the mountain. Waende kivyao. And I'm like, okay, that's your opinion.
The trend, the trend that we are setting, especially for State House, is one that is, of course, the president has a right to invite whoever he wants to State House. But what is the symbolism of the house on the hill?
Yep.
We really have to, in the same manner that we are asking people to respect the presidency and the president, State House also has to be respected. We cannot have everybody, just being invited to State House. It's a protected space. It's a very respected, infrastructure, and the president will also do us good to, show the image of respect that he's expecting from State House. So, yes, of course, he has a right to invite everyone he wants to State House, but I believe that in the same way as we have seen, that place being used or misused in the recent past, I think there's a very clear modalities of what we expect from State House. And so we hope that the president will also help us understand, what State House means. And really the symbolism, even as you invite people there, what are the kind of activities that happen there? What are the kind of narratives that you are speaking? Because it's one thing to invite people, but it's another thing to invite people to want to divide people and how people perceive the conversations that are going on there.
I reckon that while the president says he has the right to invite everybody at State House, right? I think I'm trying to remember a time when President Moi invited people to State House. I can't recall. I'm trying to recall a moment when President Mwai Kibaki invited people at State House. I can't recall. Uhuru Kenyatta, I think, invited people at State House, and one would say that's when the rain started beating us, because then it was free fall after that. You look at State House, and I'd say that prestige that the house on the hill used to have is no longer there. I reckon, I don't have a problem with anyone going to State House, but I reckon for the sanctity and the prestige that house has held for a very long time, let's have these meetings outside State House. We have all these, we can have meetings in Kasarani, we can have meeting in Nyayo,
We can go to the Akorino Church.
We can go to the Akorino Church, They can invite us to their Jubilee celebrations and all that, and just meet there. And this cuts across to everybody, because, I don't know, I mean, the president inafajite mkutano. His advisors need to really sit him down and talk to him.
Jina pekee ni State House.
It's
house of the state. And so we expect that the state really looks at the house as one that is a symbol of what the presidency is.
I agree. Now, let's look at Otiende is urging swift UDA and ODM talks. And now concerns are now being raised over timelines to hold coalition talks between United Democratic Alliance and Orange Democratic Movement ahead of the 2027 general elections. Rarieda MP Otiende Amolo has now called on President William Ruto and ODM party leader Oburu Oginga to hasten the process of constituting a team to spearhead the negotiation process. Raila Odinga said, this thing called broad-based is not a political agreement. It was not political. That, and later, Raila Odinga said, who told you that ODM would not field a candidate for the 2027? Now that we see those who are here in the absence of Raila Odinga saying that we need to sit in and start all these discussions, does it mean that ODM does not believe in itself to field a candidate? And what has informed that decision? What is the position of party members, not political players within the political party?
ODM will have to retreat, and sincerely, honestly have a candid conversation amongst themselves beyond the delegates convention that they had, which was, of course, it's a political party. The talk was too much politics, too political. But really, what is a space for them to retreat and just have a strategy conversation? Reminds me of an article that I did a few weeks ago about the fragmentation in ODM and what really they needed to do. And one of those things that ODM has to do and must do is dialogue amongst themselves, because part of why even my member of Parliament National Assembly Otiende Amolo here is talking about these swift UDA ODM talks is that the timelines. They do not have the luxury of time to continue to have the kind of confusion that is within ODM. And the President William Ruto is expecting that as he's trouting himself all over for a second term, that ODM will be able to present that, the footing that Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga used to have, so that it becomes easy for him to get to his second term. But that confusion is creating a lot of division even among, ODM itself, and therefore is partly the reason why the timelines are not being honored. Because the president would also be asking himself, so how do we organize a committee to talk when you cannot even agree amongst themselves? I mean, yourselves, who sits on what committee? So ODM on this one,
wajite mkutano
ni lazima.
Yeah, let's look at the Nation.
On the Nation, the headline here is Trouble in Ruto ODM Union. Plan B. Junet cautions UDA that ODM has options if union collapses. And so there's a quotation there by the minority leader of the National Assembly, Honorable Junet Mohammed. We are not in this union by mistake or by invitation. We joined to foster unity, and if this agenda is no longer needed, we should be told, because we don't lack options. If they feel they are now on a safer ground, we can let them form their own government in 2027. So the whole story in page 4, in what signals a dramatic implosion in the broad-based government, ODM has threatened to walk out of the arrangement unless President Ruto reins in a powerful cabal accused of coercing its MPs to join UDA and warning cabinet secretaries against associating with the Orange outfit. Same thing we've talked about.
Okay, so now there's problem in paradise, eh?
Yeah, of course. Wajite mkutano. At the same front, Kindiki office 153 million in 75 days choppers bill. You go to page 5.
Where is it going?
And they are saying that 11.3 million is the amount that Kenyans incurred on catering services, and 80.24 million was spent on tent hire and deco services, and 40.4 million on food, Dennis. By the way, sometimes when I look at Professor Kithure Kindiki and you juxtapose him with the former impeached deputy president, it becomes easier to probably draw certain, parallelos on the monies that now the office of the DP is spending. Professor Kithure Kindiki against what probably
Rigathi
Gachagua was spending. Not that I am aware about it, but it's easier to draw certain, closeness, especially in the era of scandals, sagas that, surround monies, etc. But you can look at page 5 of The Nation, where there is an audit that has, this audit comes just days after MPs unanimously approved an addition of 450 million to the office of the Deputy President.
May I'm asking the question, right? So with all these chopper rides, with the 40 million shillings that were spent in food and 80.24 million that was spent on catering, spent on tent hire, I'm asking a very simple question. After all that money has been spent, how is it that Mwananchi has benefited from that? Because in every shilling that has been spent by public officers, there has to be some reward. There has to be something, a return on investment on every shilling that is spent, value for money. Yeah. So in all these millions that you're seeing the Deputy President is spending, how has it benefited you? How has it benefited me? Especially, we have to read that together with the fact that there are some hospitals that do not have facilities. Oh, yes. There are many schools that do not have textbooks. There are children who are unable to go to school because they do not have school fees. There are doctors who've not been hired. Yeah. Where is return on investment when you're spending all this money to just ferry someone from point A to point B, having tents and having food? Where is return on investment?
This is unfortunate. Remember last week we hosted a gentleman here and you were asking him what is the critical role of the office of the Deputy President? Yeah. And it was a painful venture, a journey that we really were asking ourselves, do we even need that office to start with? Just an assistant to the president. He spoke about, you have your own budget. And I was like, your own budget? So this is what the own budget is supposed to do? I thought that the DP probably would say, there are some persons with disabilities that require some support, and I will create a budget in my office and support them through affirmative action, etc. There are, boreholes in some county that as a person in charge of devolution, State Department of Devolution falls under the office of the Deputy President. We'll put some money and support that work.
Sido, in this city today, one of the toughest things to deal with is how to ferry yourself from point A to point B, especially when you're going to work, right? Yes. You can imagine if government of Kenya decided to spend these 400 and something million, 50 million. So here we're talking about 500, almost 600 million, right? That will go into this office. You can imagine if the government of Kenya decided to buy high capacity buses, electric buses that would ferry people from, if it's Ngong route, if it's from Syokimau, if it's from Githurai, ferrying people to Nairobi at an affordable price using a system that you trust, system that you know is efficient, and system that is well managed to offer that service to Wananchi. This is just me thinking how that would be a game changer to Wananchi, saying we are finally seeing our money going into helping us do something. Because the government of Kenya wants to get taxes from you, right? But the government of Kenya does not care how you get to work to generate that money so that it can get that tax. Yeah. It has to be two-way. Oh, yeah. You want it from me? Help me, right? Yeah. Spend less on transport so that even when you take from me, I say the government helped me do this.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Invest on critical issues, security.
Security.
People are able to walk freely, You don't have to keep wondering who will, attack me, who will take away my phone. A few days ago, we saw, journalists and other Kenyans, being mugged left, right, and center. It is not right to spend taxpayers' money like that. But anyway, the story is on page 5 of the delegation.
You're spending all this money and there is spending bills of individuals you've not paid. Yeah. And, you know what I mean? And you're spending all this on food and traveling.
Professor Kithure Kindiki, we are calling on you to show leadership, Prof. Judicious management of public resources of the Kenyan people. Page 4. The opposition leaders point fingers at state over goon police alliance. So the 12, there is a big number on page 4. 12, the number of officers in killer squad that Gachagua claims the state has reassembled and enjoys immunity from prosecution. So this is about a story of the DCP leader, Rigathi Gachagua, launching a scuffing attack on the state as he accused it of deliberately using state machinery to disrupt opposition political rallies. 12 is the number there.
Mimi, I refuse to accept that the police are unaware. I honestly, I refuse to accept that the police did not know what was happening on the Southern Bypass. If there is any road that is manned very well in this republic, I don't. Let me say in Nairobi, it's the Southern Bypass.
Yeah.
It is the Southern Bypass, because if you use that road, you know there is a police station somewhere.
Yes.
Around that southern, before you get to Ngong,
Yes.
there is a police station somewhere there.
And
We
you know
have the
that
tolling
there is-
station.
And there is a whole barracks, called Langata.
Yes.
Yeah.
That means that intelligence knew exactly what was happening. I mean, you'd also want to say, Rigathi had said something about it, and one would have hoped that police would have been present in Kikuyu and its environs to know exactly what would happen. That we saw what happened, that motorists had to be stopped, by goons. They were extorted for them to be able to proceed. And the mayhem that we saw on that road, Apana, Police, IG, Kipchumba Murkomen, CS Interior, you guys are letting us down. PS Raymond Omolo, you guys are letting us down, because this one, you knew about it. You knew.
Please do something about our security. And these goons, again, we have to see heads rolling. Yeah. And there's something called the National Security Council, chaired by the president. Dennis, I wonder what kind of conversations happen in that meeting. And I pray that one day it could be probably an open space where Kenyans can either sit in and just observe how the discussions happen. Beam it live on TV, and we just watch how the president is speaking to the IG and asking the CS Murkomen to respond to questions that Kenyans are asking. I'm looking forward to that day when they will say, yes, we have spotted people and we have arrested them. They're answering to their, charges. We have CCTV cameras that have been installed and they are working for the good of the people of Kenya. And that now we have no goons. The gangs are completely done. I miss the former minister, Michuki, John
Michuki.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, should I say sometimes I miss him?
Sometimes you miss him. Okay. So let's look at the Star real quick, and then we look at a story there. On the Star, SACCOs borrow banks template to shield billions. So now the bill to introduce term limits for officials and stricter reporting rules. So that means SACCOs borrow banks and template to shield billions. And we also have Ruto hosts faithful as Tuju turns to prayer amid trouble. Now, fire. President William Ruto and his deputy Kithure Kindiki joined members of a Corino Israel church for a dance at State House in Nairobi yesterday, as well as Reverend Andrew Buyu and Reverend Mary Osena and Reverend Elisha Nyambori praying for former Cabinet Secretary Raphael Tuju during a church service at the Stevens Cathedral in Milimani, Kisumu. And how marginalized counties stand to shape 2027 election. That is on page 11 of the same. And time crunch. MP Otiende pushes Ruto and Uburu to act on coalition talks team. That, as well as an interview on Africans must move from consumption mindset to ownership. Now, inside SHA's new package for patients overseas treatment, that is in page 2 of the Star. Real quick, we look at the Daily Nation as well. On the headline, the Business Daily, I beg your pardon. Now, Suez Farm fights Kenya over rejected fuel cargo. Now, Oryx Energies insists it has a binding contract. First consignment was to arrive hours before cancellation order. You see that fuel that was said return to sender.
Yeah.
The owners are saying we have a binding contract. You must take this fuel by fire, by force. I see a situation where maybe if these guys go to court, will Kenya be forced to pay because of the contract that is signed?
You have to pay it, yeah. A contract is a binding agreement. It's a tool of negotiation.
So that means there's another
scandal.
Another scandal. This is again another loss of public funds.
Yeah. Because
if it's banned, even if you pay for it, where is it going? If it does not meet the standard, do we point? Do we get rid of it?
And they're saying that the first consignment was to arrive hours before the cancellation.
It was cancelled.
Just hours.
And fresh legal hurdle hits sale of 300 billion stake in EABL. There is that as well. And Treasury raises domestic borrowing target by 570 billion shillings. So Treasury has expanded its domestic borrowing target by 52.29% or 570 billion shillings in the current financial year ending June 30th. You know what that means? That it will be expensive for you to borrow loans because the government of Kenya has decided to borrow from the local market.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.